Hey, good morning. Scott Luton here with you on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's episode. Hey, on this episode, we've got a wonderful guest. She's a recent graduate of West Virginia University, where she majored, get this, in biomedical engineering, well above my pay grade. And if that wasn't hard enough, she minored in Chinese studies. Holy cow. So while she continues her education in the MBA program at Regent University, she is serving others through a nonprofit organization that we're going to dive into a little more today that serves the southern part of West Virginia. And she's begun a new career in supply chain and logistics. So let's welcome in Azaleah Davis, or better known to many as Zay, right?
Yeah.
How
Thanks,
are we
Scott.
doing, Azaleah?
We're doing very well on this side,
Oh,
East
wonderful.
Coast.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Other parts of the country really been struggling here in recent weeks. Are certainly our thoughts and prayers. But I think there's more good news ahead from folks
hmm
we're talking to in Texas. So, and that's definitely a breath of fresh air. So it is so neat to connect with folks that we engage in on social media, and you start to see you start to kind of in a weird way here in 2020 and 2021. You build a relationship through social, and then you might meet them 6 months later or 6 years later, and it's
Yeah,
always really neat to connect those dots, isn't it?
absolutely. I've met so many professionals, which is really strange, especially during a pandemic where I'm in my bedroom or in the living room, at my desk, and I'm able to connect with so many people across the world and in so many different professions. So it's really a blessing.
It really is.
hmm
I echo your comments there. So let's get to know you a little better. So beyond your incredible credentials that precede you, which um, biomedical engineering, I want to talk about that in a second. But tell
Okay.
us on a personal basis. Tell us about yourself. Where you're from, where you grew up.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in West Virginia. Um, Somehow I didn't get a really strong accent, which is strange, but it comes out every now and then. I was actually born in a small town called Montgomery, West Virginia. It was home to WVU Tech, which was famous at one point for their engineering department,
Right.
across the nation. And I just grew up there. I graduated from Valley High School, went ahead and went to West Virginia University, as you said.
Yep.
5 years there, getting my degree.
So
Besides that,
when did you graduate there?
2019.
Okay, 2019. So what
Mhm.
made you select biomedical engineering? What was the inspiration for you there?
I knew early on as a child that I always liked technical things. I always liked problem solving things. Everyone tells this funny story about me. When I was like 1 years old, I took apart a VCR, like deconstructed it, took all the insides out, degutted and everything, put it back together. It worked. And everyone tells this story in the community all the time. And so everyone knows me as that person that if there's something broken, they call me to fix it. I'm the handyman. But
Well, so that to me allows me to check the box on engineering. But gosh, biomedical takes. I mean, that seems to be to me the non-technical minded person to be a very challenging discipline
mm,
within the engineering field.
it is because of the diversity just within your coursework. You have to have a set of skills when it comes to engineering methods, along with handling medicine, biological sciences, and also tying in, things like physiology, anatomy, all of those topics that a lot of times engineers aren't comfortable with. But when I was choosing the major, I also had an interest in the medical field. Being a doctor, though, I wasn't really sure about that.
Not
Like,
yet, right?
yeah, not yet,
You'll knock
not
out your
yet,
MBA and then maybe your PhD.
maybe. But I was really drawn, honestly, to the field because of a presentation we had on medical devices and prosthetics. So I actually concentrated in biomechanics. that's my strong suit.
Okay.
Hmm.
Do you remember who gave the presentation? Was it someone that was already a professional in the field that came into the school or something?
It was actually my engineering 101 teacher, or 199, Dr. Jack Bird. He's an industrial engineer, but he emphasized, introducing students to every discipline of engineering.
Love
And
it.
so as soon as I saw that presentation, I was like, that's the one I want.
Hooked.
I was hooked.
Well, so let's talk about what you're doing now professionally. So you graduated from West Virginia University in 2019, as we talked about. Now you're working with Coda Mountain Academy, which is that nonprofit we talked about, and Allegiant Logistics, where you're working as I think a research analyst. So you've got a couple of full plates here. Let's tell us first about Coda Mountain Academy. What do they do?
Yeah, so it's a small nonprofit down here in Southern West Virginia, but we really focus on bringing the community, particularly young students, families, with educational opportunities, as well as opportunities that will hit home, especially because we have such a high population of people that are still suffering from poverty. The drug epidemic is huge in my area, opioids, things like that. So we really try to get students and young kids engaged in extracurricular activities, robotics, art, fine arts, music, things like that, just to, show them that there's something different. There's something else out there besides what they see.
Wow. So who in your upbringing, who really instilled that sense of service? When I hear you describe all that, I hear a strong sense of serving your community. Who served as that role model for you?
I would say it's a tie between my mother and my grandmother. They both kind of instilled in me and my two younger brothers the importance of your responsibility as a person for other people. So it's always been in the back of my mind, whatever I do, whatever job I have, or wherever I go, that I am responsible to serve other people.
Love that.
Yeah, I keep that.
What are their names? Your mother and your grandmother?
My mother, her name is Annette, and then my grandmother's name is Cheryl. We did a lot of work at churches where it started, but
we know that's wonderful. We need more people like your mother and your grandmother and you. There's so many different challenges our communities are faced with, and I've seen. I've only been to West Virginia a couple of times. Greg White, my co-host regularly, and his wife have got a lot of family up in that neck of the woods, I believe. But I've seen some documentaries about some of the challenges you described with opioids, and I tell you, it's important to get to show folks what a life outside of that might look like and some of the things they can get involved in. So I love what Coda Mountain Academy is doing. Let's talk about Allegiant Logistics. So you're really, as it comes across as we interact on our live streams and social and whatnot, you're clearly passionate about supply chain and logistics. And that's a great thing, because we need engineers. We need service-minded leaders. We need smart people, Zay, like you coming into the field. So,
thanks,
so tell us about what are you doing there at Allegiant Logistics?
Yeah, so right now I am a research analyst, and to be honest with you, I just started this job a couple months ago. But Shay Dixon, who's one of the co-CEOs, directors there, she's the one that kind of oversees me. And as soon as I met her, I was really blown away, because I've never had a boss that was so open to me exploring whatever area I wanted. Like, she understood that I had a passion to learn as much as I could. Seeing that I am remote and I have to do the job from my own home in another state, but she still lets me get involved as much as possible in every different area of the entire logistics organization. So
Love that. Shay Dixon, you said, right?
yeah.
Co-CEO.
Hmm.
What a wonderful leadership approach, and allow you to pursue your passions and develop yourself in whatever areas really appeal to you. And it
Hmm.
seems like to me that they're very supportive of your work with the nonprofit as well, huh?
Very much so. Yeah. Um, she always expressed that she would try to help me work around both my schoolwork and my other job, and trying to fit in my work with as a research analyst in between that. So it doesn't matter if it's a couple hours, an hour or two a day, every day, or if I could do more, then do more. But she, you can really see how much she values,
Mm.
the work that her employees produce.
Love that.
Hmm.
All right. So let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about. Well, I love asking people about their eureka moments, especially in crazy times that we live in now. But whether it's something kind of that epiphany you've had recently, or for something earlier in your journey, what's one interesting, powerful eureka moment you've had here?
Probably after it was around July when the pandemic was kind of, at its high point. And my boss was away at Coda Mountain Academy. So she kind of left it up to me and my coworker to figure out what it was we wanted to do for the summer, how we could still serve and, not just sit back, because she knew I wasn't going to do that. So it was probably the first time that I had such a large just it was just an opportunity for me to show my independence and really put my mind to work. And we actually ended up creating like an outdoor class. I want to look at the timestamp. It may have been one of the first outdoor classrooms.
Really?
It may have been. I'm not sure, but it worked out, and we were able to serve students. And once I got the feedback from the parents of how much they appreciated it and how much it was needed, because they saw how their children were suffering from quarantine socially, I think it really hit me the importance of not only relationship, but, having the ability to step out and continue to do more. Because, of course, you've seen with the pandemic, a lot of people, they just shut down and that was it. Which I feel like now that I know, there's always, opportunity to do something at some point, no matter what's going on. You just have to spend the time to come up with what that is.
Well
And
said.
so,
Well said. We're going to check the timestamp. We're going to see just how much of a pioneer you were with bringing that class outside. I love that. Did you get some pictures?
I do have pictures.
Okay,
I do
you
have
have to
pictures.
share those
Yeah,
with us.
we will share those.
All right, and I agree with you. I think the power of connectivity and the importance of connectivity and relationships, of course, has been a key learning for our family as well through these times. All right, so let's again, as we keep moving here. So even if you have been at Allegiant Logistics for a few months, as you said, still clearly you've been studying the supply chain, and we're all consumers these days, right? Or always have been. What's one thing that you think consumers should better understand about, how supply chain works?
I think, especially after this pandemic and everyone witnessing like the shock of empty shelves, I know down here it's been a huge issue, because where you're in the rural communities and things like that, it takes a lot longer, to get to where we are. And so it was actually in my pastime studies and along with my schoolwork where I was looking up different things about globalization and outsourcing, and really just seeing how some products, will take multiple countries to get that finished, to get it manufactured and sent to us. And I think, especially with a lot of our cleaning supplies and things like that, most people are so frustrated and they're like, why don't we have this? Why can't we get that? And it's really just a misunderstanding of the entire process, the time that it takes, where it's actually coming from. And along with, who else is involved in getting you what you need. And so I feel like if most consumers kind of have a better understanding of how far most of their products are coming to them, also understanding how much different communities and people are getting involved, then they'll see that, someone else is out there suffering the same thing that I am.
Yep. Well said. I'm hoping that one of the silver linings that really sticks from this pandemic environment, we've talked about it a lot, is that renewed, or in some cases, first time appreciation of and recognition of all the people across the supply chain. We've loved on our healthcare professionals as we should. It seems like teachers in general are getting more love and attention, and that is so overdue. And finally, the supply chain community, to your point, that does put themselves at risk, frankly, to keep the shelves full, or to provide that convenient advantage for us to get stuff delivered to our door these days, right?
Yeah.
Well said there, Azaleah. I share. I'm kindred spirits with you in those comments. All right, moving right along. Let's talk about this is going to be one of my favorite questions we posed to you today, and I'm hoping it's something I can wrap my brain around. So, what's a recent favorite read of yours?
I'll tell you, Scott, I have so many books I'm reading at one time.
That doesn't surprise me for some reason.
I don't know where the time of the day comes from, but right now I'm in between 3 different books. I am in between one book called Reposition Yourself by Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Okay.
And that book just talks about, cutting down those limits on your life, how to basically give yourself the power to make change within yourself, to better yourself.
In a way, kind of like your July Eureka moment, where you took the initiative and the took the helm in a way to kind of drive change. I love that.
Yeah. And another book that I'm reading, of course, is The Memo, Gifted by You.
Yeah. Oh,
it's great, I tell you.
I think I've got a copy right here. As a matter of fact, I'm getting through it myself.
I'm halfway through that.
But that's awesome. Minda is such a incredible individual, and talk about man, you can't miss her. She is on every power panel.
I follow her on LinkedIn, and I tell you, my notifications.
It's remarkable, and it's also overdue. I think a lot of folks, including myself, can learn a ton from her POV. So that's the second book you're reading. What else today?
The third book that I'm reading is called Change by Design by Tim Brown.
Okay.
And so that one is really focusing on shifting the innovation process and our thinking about innovation to more of a design thinking, having more design thinking, and figuring out what are the best boundaries, or basically how to shape prototyping in our innovation process where it's more efficient, and also where you're able to meet more needs because the product is more geared towards the consumer.
Love that.
So it's a great book as well. I would recommend it.
That third one seems to be your most engineering of the 3, right?
Yeah, I have to have, something for my mind, something for my heart, something for laughter.
Yes. So that should be a rule of life. Something for the mind, something for the heart, and something for laughter. Love that. All right. As we start to wind things down here, Let's talk about leadership, one of my favorite topics. And we've
Love
already
it.
kind of been talking about recent times and how they've, our learnings and Eureka moments and observations. But when it comes to leadership, how has the global pandemic really, maybe, what leadership lessons have you learned from the global pandemic, Azaleah?
Oh, so many, so many. I tell you, when I graduated, of course, the same way any other engineer thinks, you think you're going off to some company, some firm, and you expect to do a certain job and sitting behind a certain desk with a certain group of people. And at first, that was, be it can be hard to not, to not get that. And I didn't at first, but it took some time to really think and evaluate and look at the situation to understand that if I don't know everything, then what I feel like I need or want, I'm probably wrong about that too. Certain moments in life.
I don't know. You got everything right so far.
I can't say that. I can't say that. But I can say that coming back home and doing what I'm doing now, I I have learned and experienced so much more within 2 years than I would have if I would have went down the path that I wanted or was looking forward to. And so over the pandemic, of course, at Coda Mountain Academy, we've also had different programs set up as well, so trying to support feeding and a shortage of food, things like that. And you get to encounter so many people who are struggling or suffering along with, the isolation and stuff like that. And so as a leader, I think I realized that you have to step into different, it's in a time like this, being a leader involves you are required to evolve basically. Normally I'm quite introverted. I'm not a big talker. I'm not a big, I like working behind the scenes and in my mind. That's me on a normal day. But
that may not be your path forward, right?
yeah,
You may be front and center.
yeah. In quarantine, I'm sorry, the pandemic has helped me realize that, because I've had to, kind of go more or less go out there, challenge, the fears or the doubts that I have, because the other people that are depending on me to get the job done or do what it requires, they have fears as well.
Right.
And so it's like realizing that aspect and understanding that it's not just producing the work to get the job done, but doing it so in a way that's excellent, so that the people who are consuming what I produce can reap the full benefit. And so that's kind of been, the cusp of what I've experienced so far.
Well, and some of what I'm hearing there is so you can really leverage your full potential. I think if we're not uncomfortable to some degree, we're leaving a portion of it on the shelf, so to speak, and not really going after the art of the possible. So I admire how transparent you are about that. And I think we've all been there and at various points of our journey. And I'm looking forward to checking back in with you. It sounds like you're one that really enjoys learning something every hour. And if you're not learning something, it's like a wasted hour almost.
It's a waste of time. It's a waste.
Well,
every opportunity is there. You just have to find it.
Every opportunity is there. You just have to find it. Quoted by the famous philosopher. Azaleah Davis. Okay, let's get to the final question. I want to make sure folks know how to connect with you. And if you could also share, some folks may want to try to help support the Coda Mountain Academy. and of course, information on how to connect with Allegiant Logistics. Can you share that with
Yes,
us?
absolutely. Um, all three of those, you can connect with me personally, Azaleah Davis, on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the greatest place, as well as Coda Mountain Academy. You can also check us out on our website, www.codamountain.com. And if anyone would like to contribute in any way, that's much appreciated. And then also Allegiant Logistics, you can contact us on our LinkedIn page as well. We're out of Atlanta, Georgia, and or our website, www.allegiantga.com.
Awesome. It's just that you got to do a lot more interviews.
I
Zay, I tell you, you're really, we got to get you out there per what we were talking about a second ago. So we'll have to have you back and give us an update on some of the things you're doing there in West Virginia. And of course, as a research analyst in the supply chain field. So congrats on that still relatively new
Thank
position.
you.
You
I
bet.
love it. Thank you.
I can tell. So a pleasure. We've been talking with Azaleah Davis with Coda Mountain Academy and Allegiant Logistics. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Scott, for the opportunity.
You bet. Okay, so folks, hopefully you've enjoyed this interview as much as I have. Zay is a pleasure to talk with. She that servant leadership mentality that's action oriented. That makes you, I don't know about y'all, it makes me want to run through walls, love that. But check out more interviews like this at supplychainnow.com. Of course, you can go to and check out Coda Mountain Academy, and Allegiant Logistics will include that in the YouTube show notes. But hey, on behalf of the entire team here at Supply Chain Now, wishing you all the best wherever you are. But you got to be like Zay Davis. You got to do good, give forward, and be the change that's needed. And on that note, we'll see you next time here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.